I love neon colors. I love neon. I use neon highlighters in my sketches. I use neon oils and acrylics in paintings. So when I saw this Sakura Koi watercolor set, I wanted to try it really bad. At first, I couldn't find it anywhere. If I remember right, I got this one in a random visit to Vlick. I just jumped into it and bought it to test it out, hoping to have a new neon tool to use. This watercolor set has 12 pans, 4 metallic watercolors and 8 fluorescent ones. Sakura, the brand, tells us that the metallic watercolors will work well on both white and black paper, and that the neon ones will glow under black light. The case is very sturdy, as usual Sakura Koi cases are. It also comes with a water brush with a small lid, so you can keep it filled up, a sponge for dabbing the water brush, and a mixing palette on the lid. I'm going to first swatch all the colors on a strip of watercolor paper. I'll be using both a water brush and a regular Utretch watercolor brush. For the metallics, we have silver, light gold, deep gold, and copper. For the neons, we have yellow, orange, red, rose, magenta, violet, blue, and green. I made sure I rubbed the brush quite well to get the pigments to mix. Sometimes when using pans such as these, the pigments can be a little bit grainy and show up as little dots on the paper. That didn't happen here. The colors and the gradients are very nice and well mixed. I see that the colors are a little bit less diluted with a regular brush, as I use less water with it, but both brushes are a good tool to use. It depends how you feel when wanting to paint. The neons are true neons, and as such are not exactly color fast. That means they will fade if you leave your painting out in the sun for extended periods of time. So that's something to keep in mind if you like using neon pigments. The metallics are also quite nice, very reflective and glittery. I will be focusing on the neons on this video, but I have a feeling this palette will make another appearance in the future. I've also quickly tried the watercolors on non-watercolor paper so you can see how important paper choice can be. The gradients are not soft, the paper curls immediately, and the pigments can't deposit on the paper properly. So when working with watercolors, use watercolor paper or properly primed canvases. Now, I don't have other neon watercolor sets. I do have, however, neon liquid acrylics. These are Rowney FW Acrylic Artists ink. I've used this in the past in sketches, and I wanted to compare the colors to the Sakura Koi watercolor palette. I'm dropping the inks in a Japanese ceramic palette, and I'm mixing blue and pink to make up the purple, as I don't have that as an individual ink. In the inks, the color is more consistent. You can't rub the ink and make a color more saturated as you can with the watercolors. This also means you can't control how watery it is from the pan, as you can with the watercolors. I found them to leave a more translucent layer when extending my brush over the paper. The colors are very similar except the pink, which was lighter, and the purple that I made a little bit more blue. For this video, I'll be focusing on painting with the Sakura Koi set, but let me know if you'd like a comparison of acrylic inks and watercolors, just like I did with the Copic and Trabi markers. I'm using Canson XL watercolor paper, cold press, 9 by 12 inches. Starting off with the sketch using Pentel Red Lead, I had in my mind my 80s neon cutie, although I didn't intend to draw her in particular. Here's the thing, I'm pretty awful with watercolors. I like saturated colors, I have no patience, and it feels like you can't do a lot of detailing with watercolors. So in order to figure out how I can make this tool work for me, I wanted to try something easy at first. So easy for me is doing lots of hair. I'm gonna be making a lot of mistakes here in order to figure out how to do it. I slightly wet my paper and started laying down some color. I went for the neon pink for her hair. Looking at it on the video, it looks a lot nicer than what I saw in person. Probably because I was focusing on saturation and I wasn't looking to what was actually happening on the page in front of me. That was my mistake number 1. I'm gonna be trying to incorporate all colors on this illustration, so I'm doing a sunset gradient on her glasses, giving her purple hair, and using blue and green and yellow on her outfit. Now, as you're using water, your paper will curl. In fact, you're supposed to wet the whole sheet of paper before starting, but not making it run, and you gotta tape your paper to your desk to help prevent some of the curling. Those were my mistakes number 2 and 3. I thought I would be using such a light hand that I could avoid taping the paper, as I will be done quickly. But no, I wanted to add more color to it. And it is here where, looking back, I wish I had stopped adding layers of colors. In my quest to making it more and more saturated, I covered a lot of the nice gradients that give it that soft, ethereal look. I was so worried that I had been painting all this time for nothing. So I brought out my secret weapon, inking liner. Definitely my favorite stage. And I thought of doing this with a very soft liner, but looking at my digital illustrations, I wanted to try a brush pen. I haven't been using brush pens lately because I've been drawing in a very small scale. So whenever I'm using the brush pens, it just looks super thick. But since this is a pretty large illustrations, 9 by 12 inches, I give it a go. I think I've saved this illustration from going to the trash can. Let's completely ignore the background. I was done and super tired. I think the hair inking saved the overall look. I used a bit of the deep gold for detailing, and the white Signo Pen for shines. Am I happy with it? Not 100%, but it made me want to do another watercolor piece, which is not the usual for me. I've tried other watercolor palettes in the past, and I'm more comfortable with pens and markers. That just shows how important the color story of the palette is. I'm a huge neon fan, so I will be giving more use to a neon palette for sure than a traditional color story palette. So I will be using this palette again, and I'll be sharing the results on my Instagram for sure. Would you use this palette? Would you want to see me compare it to other neon and/or metallic palettes? Let me know in the comments below. I want to thank my Patreon subscribers who help me create art and comics with their generosity. Patrons are getting my comics a week before I post them online, and they'll be getting the full video of the process of this illustration on my comics and tutorials tier. Oh, and what was that about glowing in the dark? Oh yeah. Thank you for watching, and I'll be back soon.